What was your biggest challenge when you faced when you started here at ABB?
I think the answer for ABB would be the same answer for any other organization. Understanding the business, if indeed it is a new industry or new line of business to work in. Understanding and acclimating to the culture. And then all the technical stuff. There's typically myriad technical platforms, applications, different things, nuances, some known, some very well known, some less than well known, and some completely unknown. So those three things, the culture, the business, and the technology, are essential in the execution of the job. So it's very important to really understand this. So that's typically the challenge in any 30, 60, 90-day plan for a new employee.
So from a PMO perspective, what sort of challenges do you see as remaining for the PMO?
So with respect to the PMO at ABB, so first there was none. So it's a completely new discipline for them. They had projects and they had people assuming a management role for those projects. The PMO as a practice area and a discipline was introduced with folks having some experience in other organizations, having some idea of what that meant. So really, it was introduce it, try to build some proficiency in that, sell the value of that, and really actually execute on that value. So what remains is the further evolution of that. So we started from 0, we moved up to 1, and I think there is always the process of where there isn't a process, define something, execute the process, and then start to continuously improve that process, right? So I think we are in execute the process consistently. We need to do more of that and be better at that, and all the while continuously improving it, finding what works, what does not work, how do you tweak something to get it better, and in some cases scrapping certain processes if they don't work and finding a better way to do it. So I think we're on that road of execution and continuous improvement.
What would you say is the most unique and interesting thing about your PMO?
The most unique and interesting thing is it is a collection of individuals and personalities, various skills and experiences. The interesting thing with that is that you still have to build a team with that. In building any team, whether it's an athletic team or a business work team, you're never going to get the same type of person. Everybody's got their own skills, their own personalities. The interesting thing and the toughest part is really getting them focused on a common goal, getting them working together, supporting each other, understanding each other, understanding the value that they provide for the organization. So I think this organization has very strong project management experience, and yet they all have their own different backgrounds and they all bring their own skill sets. So really bringing them together, throwing all that in the pot and to make a really good stew or chowder, right? All these ingredients. So it is an interesting mix of personalities and skills. But I think it's a good team, and again, we will continuously look at how to improve the skills and work to make sure that team is working as one.
Do you consider the PMO more tactical or strategic?
I think in this organization and where we are with respect to how long it's been in place, it's tactical. Probably too tactical, which does not mean we do not give thought to more strategic activities. I think we do. I think it's a balance, and it is not a 50-50 balance. At this time, I would say we're probably 80% tactical, 20% strategic. And I think that is just given the nature of this organization, where this organization is at this time in its maturity and evolution, right? So we're probably doing the best we can with where this organization is. This organization will mature over time, it will evolve over time. The PMO needs to be in step with that also. So yeah, we are fairly tactical.
What are your expectations for the PMO, say, with, for the next 2 years?
Next 2 years, and I think it goes back on to an earlier response, I think we need to work for consistency in the execution of the PMO methodology that we have in place today, right? So we've said this is the way we do things, let's do those things. Let's do those consistently, let's make it repeatable, people should have the expectation that should be done. We should look at the results of these processes. Are they the right processes? Are these the right artifacts? Or the method and style in which we execute projects? We report metrics on it. We report status on it. Let's continue to do that. Let's evaluate that, improve where improvement is needed, and frankly, throw away what doesn't work. If it really doesn't work, thoughtfully and deliberately, throw it away. And look for different ways, not to rest on laurels, not to, hey, this is what we said and this is how we're going to do it. Always be learning, always be improving.
How are projects selected and approved here at ABB, and how much influence do you have in the decision-making process?
So there is the documented process for that, and then there's how it is. And how it is a little bit the way it's been documented, and then there's this pipeline of emerging opportunities. This culture says, hey, take a look at your operation in whichever business line you are in, whatever you're doing. Take a look and find if there's a way to find efficiencies. The way we do things today, can we do it better? And if you find something that seems to have some possibility or some potential, that can very quickly be submitted as a demand to be evaluated for the potential of being a project. So that would be, that's great stuff. People are thinking, people got good ideas, you throw it through our process of come up with the demand, it'll be evaluated by the enterprise PMO office, it'll look for the return on the investment, is this an efficiency, is this something that's going to help us do our jobs better for ABB, and so that's a good process, and if it meets those merits, then it goes to the PMO and we start making that a real project. So the other way is the less formal, the less documented way, and the one that seems to have a balance of probably 50% of the project come in this manner, and these are just new business revenue ideas, opportunities that are maybe forward thinking in the future. These may have some yield for us. These may have some benefit to the organization. These may have some revenue growth potential. In the beginning, it is less apparent. This is almost predicting that the market or this industry is moving in that direction. We need to get on, although there's no real value at this time. If this takes on, and we believe it will, then we should do that. So that sometimes does not go through our process. So where my influence is probably where I can have the most influence is to help call out, hey, we're going outside of our process, and direct folks back into our process. Again, if we were talking these being outliers, 10 or 20% of the projects, then I think we could manage that, knowing that not all projects come through a very nifty process. At this point, it's mostly 50% of the time. So we have to stay vigilant and stand sentry in front of the process and say, these things must go through the process. I think for the people in the EPMO, the PMO, and certain leaders at the executive level in the organization, that makes a lot of sense. And then the rest are in the sales area, the marketing area, they're out, they're beating the street with their feet, and they're coming up with these opportunities, and they want to move very quickly. Again, The organization started out very small and entrepreneurial, and this was the way things were done. I think there's a tendency there. My influence can be to drive us towards some standards that our PMO and EPMO set up.
What do you look for in hiring, when you're hiring project managers?
You know, I think this is it evolved throughout my career. It has evolved during my tenure here at ABB. In the beginning, when we didn't really have a lot of project managers here. We had one or two, and I didn't choose those. I think when we were starting to hire more, I think we were looking for, you need to be a professional project manager. You don't need to be somebody who worked in QA and did some BA work and also led some projects. A good technical resource, but it needed to be your profession. Something that you said as a part of your career direction, I'm going to be a project manager. I'm going to put the time in to do that. So I wanted really experienced people that knew how to do this, that job, this practice. I think I've since softened that somewhat and started looking for, while I was still looking for initially the cultural fit, how are you going to be able to work in this organization? And maybe it was 50-50, the cultural fit, can you work in this organization, plus do you have the skills to work in this organization? I think right now the challenge for us is, I doubt if it's unique, but it certainly has some special circumstances in this organization, and I understand that better today. I understand it is not necessarily you got to be the best project manager ever, but you've got to be fairly nimble, fairly thick-skinned, flexible. You've got to be able to roll with the punches. You cannot depend on having if you're the type of person that needs all the information now so that you can move forward and execute, it's not gonna do well here. We have fits and starts in projects. Some things come in, you get some momentum, and then the next thing you know, you're off to the next thing. So you gotta be really nimble. So you can't be too fixed and too hard-lined and too black and white. So it is certainly throughout my career and even throughout my tenure here at ABB, what I look for in a project manager is probably shifted towards more of those dynamic aspects of a project manager's personality.
Sure. So we just instituted a EPMO. What are your thoughts about that? How is that working? What do you see as the contributions?
I think it gets us off the firing line of having to judge the merit or the validity of a project, right? It's probably not our strong suit given where we are in our life cycle here at ABB from a PMO standpoint, where we would get a project, business stakeholder would champion it, and it all sounded like a good idea. We should do it all. I think the rigor and the scrutiny that comes in the initiation part of our project, in which the PMO stands as they provide the most value in the upfront part. I think it gets us off the firing line of having to make these decisions with not all the information, and that not being our strong point. This puts business people that understand our organization and understands the business components there and understand the value of a prospected project. I think, to me, I was a bit skeptical because I wasn't sure of the people in those roles, if they had the experience from a project management standpoint, but they have the business experience, and they have a very critical nature in which they question everything, and that is very important for us. So I think so far, so good. I think they'll expand their role and they'll provide more of a contribution as we move forward.
We're also looking now at this stage into a more agile or hybrid approach. What do you see as the benefit of that for this organization?
Yeah, so one of the things I think I've been fairly successful at in my career is trusting the people that work for me, members of the team. I think first off, what Agile provides us and again, this is part of my experience here. In the beginning, it probably made less sense because we didn't have a lot of process in place. Waterfall sound like, okay, let's get our ducks in a row and execute in an orderly fashion. I think that worked at the time. So again, getting back to listening to a lot of my PMO manager, my application development managers, and a bunch of BAs and QA people have experience in an agile setting. So me being comfortable with their experience and their opinion on how we do projects today, why we are not successful, how Agile may address some of those things and be more of a benefit for the organization. I trust that. I've been clearly sold on that. I want to be supportive because I know the way we've been executing, especially large project, big bang activities, we're not very successful at it for a number of reasons, not the least of which is that big bang style. So I am sold. Proof is in the pudding, right? So this is all theoretical until you start practically applying this. We have 2 projects that we are executing currently with that in mind. I don't expect us to hit home runs. I expect us to maybe get a bloop single, maybe one goes in the gap for double. We will learn from this, and I think the idea is to execute it, learn from it, tune it, tweak it, get it better, and I think project by project, the more we apply this, the better we'll get. I don't think it'll ever be a hard and fast way to do things. I think it'll be part of the evaluation for that project on how we, the manner in which we execute it.
So as part of your organization, you have business analysts also. Have you had that in the past? Do you see the benefits of it? Do you see it as a critical part of being a PMO, or should it be a separate department?
Yeah, so I think to me, it's a half 6 of one, half dozen of the other. To me, I think it is a critical function in an organization. I don't care if it is in the business. I don't care if it is in its own separate group within IT. I just care that we have it. It is a discipline. I think we need to, in this organization we raised our hand and said, this is something important for our organization, of people that do this. I think we've called that out. I think that's been generally accepted. What we've had fairly, I would say 50-50 success with, we found a couple strong ones. One that had been here in various roles for 10 or 12 years. And so bringing institutional knowledge, experience in this organization really has helped him to execute those responsibilities. So his core skill set is in that area. And then we had one that was a seasoned BA that's worked in several industries, very focused, very meticulous, had everything buttoned up. And so that is a style thing, which was solid, and the other one had an experience in the organization, which were style. We're looking to bring more on, and it's been tricky because it is, again, as with the project manager role that we talked about a little bit earlier, you're going to look for, can you do the job? Have you done this job? Have you said, hey, this is my career path. I'm a BA, not a QA tester and a project manager and a BA, but a BA. So we look for that core skill set to be present. And then those other things. How can I work in this organization? How do I learn? What are the first things I do as a BA in a new organization? How do I get out there, meet people, assimilate information and knowledge, and how do I tune that up into the best well-rounded BA I can be in this organization? So, this is a people, and this is a part of the hiring process to find that right person. It is tricky. It is very tricky to do. So we've had good success, but not as good as I would expect it. I think with a small organization, when you only have 2 or 3 or 4 of these, you need to be successful 100% of the time, and being successful 50% of the time is a no-can-do. 75% of the time starts approaching something reasonable. So we need to be better at that, and it changes my orientation in the interview process towards, hey, I'm going to tell you exactly how it is here. I want to see your reaction. I want to understand what you've done similarly in other organizations and how you've handled that.
Good. All right. Well, thank you very much.